If you already have a basic bar, it's time to expand your selection. I'm Brian Johnson, and in this episode of Better Cocktails at Home, we're going to talk about how to stock your bar. Now, we did one a while ago. It was kind of stocking your bar part one, went over some basics, and hopefully, like the Godfather part two, it only gets better than part one. So I'm going to I'll link to that video, but this one's kind of going to build on that and kind of my next recommendations to pick up. And you might have some of these, but I think it's good to kind of just take stock of what you have in your bar and kind of see where you have any holes to fill in. First one I'm going to talk about is Absinthe. This is a spirit that's like misunderstood by the vast majority of people. It was in fact illegal in the United States up until a few years ago, but it is now very much legal, and it's really I think it's a really important ingredient to have. Usually you don't find it in a lot of cocktails, or in a lot of amount in a lot of cocktails, because it's such a powerful ingredient. A quarter ounce is a lot in a lot of cocktails, so you're going to taste it. So, one bottle, well, they're generally kind of expensive on the pricier side. It'll last you a very long time if you're just doing cocktails. And then also you could just enjoy it as you would absinthe if you want to. It's another option, but it just is a really interesting component to play with because it really gives it the herbalness, and it's a cool thing to have in a lot of cocktails, and a lot of classic cocktails call for it. So it's kind of my next round of purchase. Building on that is a white rum. A lot of people will have you buying a white rum to start with, and it's perfectly acceptable. I think you're gonna do really well with it. I had put some of the bottles first, and then I put it in this group just because I think, if you're kind of going from the classic angle, you don't see the white rum as much as like gins and whiskeys, which I recommended earlier. But there's a ton of great drinks that really use white rum, like daiquiri, mojito. You can start getting into a little bit of like tiki style drinks. This was just a nice white rum. This particular one is Cana Brava, and I really like it a lot. I think it's got some good flavor to it, good price point. So definitely invest in white rum. Then my next bottle I think you should be picking up is cognac. It doesn't have to be cognac strictly, but it could also, it could be a brandy. Brandy or cognac, it's just a really important ingredient in a lot of cocktails, and it's just one of those bases you see a lot. And so, it's important to pick this up, I think, just because you're going to see it all the time, and it's got some great flavor, and it's a fun one to play with. This particular bottle is Pierre Ferrand's 1840, and it's kind of like my house cognac that I use on a lot of different drinks, so it's a really nice bottle. My next pick is Cointreau, and Cointreau is a very nice orange liqueur. There are other orange liqueurs out there that are comparable, so if you either can't get this one, or if you wanted to go with a Grand Marnier, you could, or there's quite a few decent orange liqueurs out there. Cointreau is kind of like the gold standard. I feel like it's just got some great flavor to it, and it's very mixable, so it's time to kind of pick it up for your bar if you haven't. And then my next ingredient to stock in your bar is orange bitters. In part one, I recommended Peychaud's and Angostura. This one I'm going to start adding in orange bitters because they are a great ingredient, and just can really do a lot for cocktails. It works well with, I think, whiskey, gin. It plays across a range of base spirits really well, and just adds a good flavor component. So this one is pretty common to get. This is Regan's, and it's a very nice orange bitters that a lot of people use, and a lot of people make recipes with it, so you're likely to run across it. But I think it's kind of like the next bitters to really own. So that's kind of my take on the next steps to building your bar out. With these, you're going to add a lot of cocktails to your repertoire. You're going to be able to go into, like I said, daiquiris, mojitos, sidecars, and then if you have absinthe there, you can just do a lot of really fun stuff like that. For instance, like make a standard sidecar, but then, throw in like a dash of absinthe and just see how it changes the cocktail, and see what it does to it. I think you'll be surprised. But then orange bitters is just really crucial to many different drinks. I mean, really orange bitters were included in like really early martinis. So you're going to be able to really make that kind of how it was done a long time ago. And yeah, these are just great bottles that are going to help build out your bar. And that's my take on the next steps for building your bar.